Hello there. Before I was an educational advisor at the Erasmus University, I was a history teacher in secondary school. One of my tasks was developing the final exams of the classes I had to teach. Being a history teacher, I put a lot of my faith in open-ended questions. I wanted to check my students' abilities to analyze or synthesize the study material by letting them, for example, connect different topics and subjects. At other times, I wanted students to motivate their own opinion using arguments derived from the content. I struggled a lot with composing the questions before I was absolutely satisfied. Next to that struggle, there is one more thing I remember from that period. If a few weeks later I read back the question I so vigorously had developed, I had no idea anymore what I was asking for exactly. Imagine how my students must have felt. Before we go into the tips and tricks of developing open-ended questions, let's first define what we are talking about. An open-ended question is a question where the possible answers are not suggested, as with closed multiple-choice questions. In most cases, open-ended questions start with a how, a what, when, where or why, and respondents answer in their own words. There are different types of open-ended questions. I will organize them by length of answer. First, you have completion items, also known as fill-in-the-blanks. These come in handy for quick fact checks. Next, you have short answer questions and long answer questions. These questions are ideal to check whether a student understands a concept or is able to apply a theory. And finally, essay questions are perfect to test the student's ability to analyze, synthesize, or motivate his or her own opinion. In general, you can state that open-ended questions are ideal to assess the higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy. Now let's go into their construction. The checklist we will use is applicable for all mentioned types of open-ended questions. When constructing an open-ended question, it is best to start with the end in mind. Start with the answer before formulating the question. This answer is called the model answer. The model answer is based on the knowledge or skills your learner should produce. This model answer also helps you formulate the right question. Incorporate restrictions to help your learners formulate the essence of the answer. Be as specific as possible. This also ensures that the learners don't stray away from the key elements required in their answers. For example, explain with examples is pretty vague. You want to point out how many arguments the explanation should contain and how many examples should be given. In short, provide enough information regarding the length and format of answer that is expected. If a student answer is to be explained, motivated, or supported by arguments, this should be clearly indicated. And now for language and style. Separate the question into an informative introductory part and a question part. Use one question at a time, not multiple questions. We also strongly advise against follow-up questions, where students need to use the answer of a previous question in another answer. If you make a mistake in the first answer, you will be punished in the second, third, and fourth as well. Also, avoid information that does not evoke the required answer. The question should not be a trick question. Formulate the question in a way that is grammatically correct, clear, unambiguous, and linguistically comprehensible to the student. Use active words and direct phrasing. Words students do not know and long, complex sentence structures should be avoided. Rather, keep sentences short and to the point. Avoid suggestive questions like, for example, why is it a bad idea to? And of course, formulate your questions in positive terms or, if necessary, highlight the negative parts of the question. After having constructed a satisfying question, indicate the maximum number of points that the learner can score by answering the question right. You might want to check your assessment matrix again while doing that. Finally, check whether answering the question doesn't take too much time. Research shows that a half-page answer takes about 10 minutes to write. One page takes about 25 minutes and 2 pages take about an hour. Just do the math. Now this concludes the video on constructing open-ended questions. Remember, we provide you with a clear checklist you can use when checking the quality of your open-ended questions. I wish I had one back in the day. All the best. Bye-bye.